Okay, in part 2 of learning about learning targets 1 and 2, we're going to focus on the different forms that a quadratic equation can take, okay? And then we're also going to talk about a little bit and more in class with these focus problems about how to convert between the different forms, okay? So we first need to look at the 3 different forms that a quadratic equation can come in. And I already wrote down some the form and the examples that I'd like you to have in your notes. So go ahead and pause the video, write these down, and when you're ready, you can press play to get the rest of the information about what this form tells us about our parabola or about our situation. Okay, now that you have those written down, let's start with general form. Okay, general form is sometimes called standard form. I want you to write that down. Just know that sometimes it's called standard form, sometimes it's called general form. This is when we have y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, this tells us a couple things. First of all, this easily tells us a, b, and c for the quadratic formula. So when something is already given in standard form or in general form, we can easily use the quadratic formula to find the roots. Now, without doing any math, I'd like to know also, without math, what this tells us. So looking at my equation here, I can look at the coefficient of x squared. This is the leading, also called sometimes the leading coefficient. This number tells us the scale factor of the parabola, meaning if it's 2, for example, in this one, then the parabola is stretched by a scale factor of 2. Also, this tells us the y-intercept. This is the letter C in our standard or general form. This means that when x equals 0, y equals c. Or in this case, 10 is our y-intercept, so I know when I look at the parabola of 2x squared plus 6x plus 10, it crosses the y-axis at 10. I also know that it opens up because of the scale factor being positive. So when that leading coefficient is positive, I know that it opens up. All right? So next, we've got vertex form. This would be the type of equation that we would solve by taking the square root. Without doing any math, without solving, we can see a few things easily from this equation. We can look at the leading coefficient again. And that tells us the scale factor. Think back to when we talked about transformations. Remember, I told you that whatever number goes in front of that x squares term is our scale factor. In the same way, this also tells us which way it opens. Whether it's positive, it opens up, or negative, it opens down. Also, we know the coordinate of the vertex. In this case, the coordinate of the vertex is h, k. This is because we took away h and we added k, so that really means that y minus k equals a times x minus h squared. And if you remember, if you take away h and you take away k, that means that the vertex is at positive h and positive k. So like in this case, when I look at this first equation here, minus 4 and plus 10 tells me that the vertex is at 4, 10. Okay? That's really all that we can tell from this equation. All right? Then, last thing, factored form. Remember, factored in its essence means that it's written as a product. Factors are two things that are multiplied to get something else. So, written as the product of expressions. We've got two examples here. Okay? We can easily use the zero product property when something is given to us in factored form. Okay? So in this case, we don't know a lot about the parabola. Sometimes we're given an equation like this, in which case, same thing again. So in all three of these forms, we know about the scale factor and we know about which way it opens, up or down. Okay? And then in this one, what I can easily see right away, just from looking at it, is I can easily see the roots. So the most important piece I want you to get out of this is this part, that I can see the scale factor and that it opens up or down in any place, but each different form shows me something different about the parabola. If I have it in general form, I automatically know the y-intercept. If I have it in vertex form, I automatically know the vertex. If I have it in factored form, I automatically know the roots. Okay? So we're going to look at a picture of a parabola and we're going to input everything we know into the three different forms. We're going to do each form. I'm going to start by doing factored form. That means that I'm going to use the roots because that's the information that I can use to get factored form. Remember, in all three, we have to find the scale factor. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the next nice point on my parabola. If I look up, my next nice point is right here where I've marked it, and it's over 2 and up 2. And if I remember on my parent function, I go over 2 and up 4 instead of over 2 and up 2. So what that means is that the scale factor of this parabola is a half. 0.5. Okay? So I'm going to use that, I'm going to use that in all of my different forms as I'm going along here. Okay? Now, if I know that my roots are -5 and 3, then I know that my equation is going to look something like this. Y equals 0.5 times x plus 5 and times x minus 3. Because remember, that's when these two solutions will make y equal 0. Okay? We've got that scale factor out in front because that's what's going to tell us that this is stretched a little bit, or shrunk a little bit from our original. Okay? Now, if I'm going to do vertex form, I'm going to use the scale factor of 0.5 just like I did last time. And I'm going to input the vertex. Okay? Vertex form is named for the vertex. Okay? So I'm going to use -1, -8 as h and k into my vertex form. So if I go back, I can see that my vertex form was y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Okay? So I know that I'm going to use my scale factor here as my a. I'm going to use -1 as my h and -8 as my k. So I have y equals 0.5 times x minus -1 squared plus -8. Rewriting this, I would like you to write it as y equals 0.5 times x plus 1 instead of minus -1. And instead of plus -8, you could just write minus 8. Okay? And then, when I'm asking you for general form, you only can use the y-intercept, which if you can tell from this picture, is not easily available to us. So what we're going to actually do anytime that we find general form, so maybe you might want to make a note of this, anytime we want general form. We will use factored or vertex form to get it. So in this case, I'm going to use factored form just because it's easier for me. So I'm going to take my factored form and I'm going to multiply my factors to get standard form, which means I'm going to FOIL. I'm going to take first times first. I'm going to keep the 0.5 out front. I'm going to do first times first, that's x squared. Outside terms, that'd be minus 3x. Inside, that'd be plus 5x. And last, that'd be minus 15. Okay, and that's y equals. Remember that you can also use the box to help you FOIL. You can do x plus 5, x minus 3. This will get you the same thing as you're going along here. It's just a way to organize your FOIL. Okay? And then I've got 0.5, so I have to take my scale factor times the whole thing. So I'm going to end up with y equals 0.5x squared. This right here turns out to be 2x, so 0.5 times that will just give me plus x minus 7.5. And then there we go, we've got our general form. And remember that this last term should tell us our y-intercept, which if we go over to the parabola, that makes sense because it does look like our parabola crosses at negative 7.5. So that helps me to know that I probably did this correct. All right, before class, I've got something in vertex form, and I want you to see if you can figure out how you would take vertex form to general form. Remember that y equals 2 times x plus 3 to the second power is the same as x plus 3 times x plus 3 minus 5. So just a little hint there to help you get started. Please bring that to class with you next time.